Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr. You mean to tell me the man who is partially responsible for two of the greatest comebacks in Super Bowl history is about to go out like that? On a failed comeback attempt? Yes, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were down 27-3 against the LA Rams, and they almost came back, ultimately losing 30-27 after mounting a furious comeback in which the Los Angeles Rams did everything in their power to give that football game away. But what did Tom Brady do? Well, he did what he does best and engineer his team to a comeback, only this time it didn't result in a W. I understand family plays a huge factor into his decision. I understand when you're in a relationship, it's not always about what do I want. Both you guys had to sacrifice. That's why it is a relationship. And so I want to preface all of my comments by saying that I'm not completely forgetting about Tom Brady and the fact that he has a family, the fact that he has 3 kids, the fact that he's the same age as my dad at 44 going on 45. I'm not forgetting, and I'm not acknowledging any of that. I completely understand, I respect, and I acknowledge all those factors. And I'm not here to say that Tom Brady has to come back because of this. Don't get it twisted. It doesn't have anything to do with that at all. But it doesn't matter whether or not Tom Brady retires next offseason or this offseason. He will be back. Or if he doesn't retire this offseason, here are the list of reasons why he's ultimately going to come back to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for one last dance. Before we hop in though, if you guys could please, we've been working very diligently to work on our platforms on both Instagram, Twitter, and a little bit of TikTok. And so if you guys could show us the same love that you guys show us here on YouTube, we would greatly and immensely appreciate that. It's the same handle as Steezy A Smith, SteezyASmith, both on Instagram, Twitter, and also on TikTok. And before we begin, I would like to give a major shout out to the Team Steezy family, to all of you guys that have subscribed, to all my new subscribers, to all the old subscribers, for all the people that have been rocking with us from the very, very jump. We are eternally grateful for you guys. And 3K, while it is a milestone in our book, you guys haven't seen nothing yet. The goal is to hit 10,000 subscribers by the end of this year. And so if you guys can help us continue to reach checkpoints and continue to climb up the ladder, again, we're forever in debt to you guys, honestly. Now let's hop right in, shall we?
Here comes the, y'all don't really want it like that. Yeah. Here comes the.
Like I mentioned, the king of comebacks, Tom Brady, is supposed to retire on that note? On a failed comeback attempt? When he's known as the king of comebacks? I know this has been talked about ad nauseum, but 2 of the best comebacks in Super Bowl history are in Super Bowl 51 and Super Bowl 49, both of which Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr. took part in. And before we begin, I just would like to let you guys know, look, I am no Tom Brady apologist. I'm not a Tom Brady fanboy. It has nothing to do with that. For those of you that truly know me, you might actually call me a Tom Brady hater. I mean, he did prevent my Seattle Seahawks from winning a 2nd straight Super Bowl, and there has been Deflategate and Spygate and all these rumors about cheating and whatnot. And so I used to be on that same bandwagon. I used to be a Tom Brady hater. I wasn't the biggest Tom Brady fan, but ever since he left New England and joined the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and won a Super Bowl in his first year with the new team, I automatically instantly gained respect, a newfound level of respect and appreciation for not only him, but for his game. So don't take any of these words, and don't assume that it's coming from a Tom Brady apologist, because that's just, I'm not that. I just can't see Tom Brady going out like that. I understand. And like I said in the beginning of this episode, Tom Brady has a family. He has 3 kids, and his wife is right. He can't continue to take hits like this. He's my dad's age. And just worried about my dad's health, I can only imagine what his family is thinking about his health week in and week out. But let's not forget, the season just ended for Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Emotions are going to run high. He is physically and mentally drained after a grueling 6 to 7 months of straight football. Of course, he's going to feel the way that he's feeling now. And I understand he's been non-committal about his future in the NFL. And at the end of the day, we've never heard Tom Brady sound non-committal about anything ever, or at least as it pertains to his NFL career. And so while people could look at that as a sign that, oh, Tom Brady's gone, he's gonna retire, he's done playing football, you could also look at it from a different sort of lens and look at it from the perspective of, okay, maybe the end is a lot closer than we might think. And look, contractually, he does have 1 year left on his contract, and he is also on record saying that He was going to play until he's 45 years old. He's currently 44, but when the next NFL season begins, he will be 45 in August. And so I'm not saying that he's obligated to a promise that he made 10 years ago. And I'm not saying that he has to stand by that and stick to it. He's the greatest football player of all time. He could do whatever he wants. He could say whatever he wants. And so I'm not going to hold that against him. But what we do know about Tom Brady is that he's a man of his word. I have heard that he's conflicted about whether or not he wants to return to the Tampa Buccaneers for a 23rd season. Why? Because he's a man of his word. He has 1 year left on his contract. It's really as simple as that. And I know a lot of people are going to point to the fact that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, their roster might be in flux. They might not be able to re-sign all these guys. They have under 10 million in cap space, and there are so many guys scheduled to be free agents. Well, what about the rest of the NFC? The entire state of the NFC is in flux as well. Here, NFC South, right? The Atlanta Falcons, they're sticking with Matt Ryan as their quarterback. I don't think Tom Brady and the Buccaneers should be worried about the Atlanta Falcons. Carolina Panthers, the jury's still out on Matt Rule, and they still don't have a quarterback. The New Orleans Saints just lost Sean Payton and still don't have a quarterback. Now moving on to the NFC East, the Dallas Cowboys. They just showed the entire world that they're frauds. Philadelphia Eagles, they're not there yet. Washington Football Team, still don't have a quarterback. The New York Giants, don't get me started. Next division, the NFC North. We don't know if Aaron Rodgers is coming back to the Packers. Now, if he does, we all know that he doesn't have a very sparkling record in the postseason, 11-10. Are they going to be much of a threat? Whether or not he comes back, Minnesota Vikings still don't have a head coach. And Kirk Cousins, while he's an above average starting quarterback in the National Football League, there is a cap to a team's ceiling when he's your starting quarterback. Simple. Chicago Bears, that's a little too early for them. And then the Detroit Lions, I like their future, but they are coming off a 2-win season. They won't be an imminent threat. As for the NFC West, my NFC West, we don't know if Russ is going to be in Seattle for the long run. Who knows? Maybe he leaves Seattle this offseason. The Arizona Cardinals, obviously with Cliff Kingsbury as their head coach, they have a lot of work to do, and maybe they're frauds as well. The San Francisco 49ers, they're either going to have Jimmy G back as the quarterback next year or Trey Lance. And even if Trey Lance is going to be the guy that is supposedly the future of the San Francisco 49ers, I don't think he's going to come in his first year as a starter next year and just light up the league on fire. And so the Niners, props to them for being in the NFC Championship game this year. They could very well make it back next year, but let's just say, okay, the Niners are a threat. And then, of course, the Los Angeles Rams, one of the favorites to reach the Super Bowl. They're definitely going to be a threat for years to come. And so navigating through the entire landscape of the NFC, whether or not Tampa Bay is able to bring back all their guys, there aren't many threats in the NFC to begin with. There's the LA Rams and the San Francisco 49ers. But if Tom Brady were to return to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and they're able to re-sign a few of their key guys and bring in other guys via the draft and sign some guys on cheap veteran minimum deals, they could very well contend for another Super Bowl next year. And Tom Brady is also once again on record saying that he wants 10 rings, right? Well, he already has 8. He has 7 Super Bowl rings and 1 wedding ring. So that would mean that he has 2 more rings to conquer. And I'm not saying he's going to play another 2 to 3 more years, but I can see him coming back and winning a Super Bowl, or at least getting to another Super Bowl next year. I know, again, Tom Brady is on record saying that he doesn't want to ride off into the sunset like a John Elway or a Peyton Manning. He doesn't want a farewell tour. Well, you know what he wants more than those 2 things that he does not want? He wants multiple rings with multiple organizations. I know there's nothing, absolutely nothing left that this man has to prove or accomplish in the NFL. He's the greatest football player of all time, and his 7 rings are more than any Super Bowl appearances of any quarterback in NFL history, and that number is 5. So obviously, he has nothing to prove, but it's not about that. He told us that he wanted to play until he was 45. And how can he leave a Buccaneers team hanging in the dust when not only does he have 1 year contractually as an obligation to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, it's an opportunity to potentially win another Super Bowl. And I know Tom Brady is a very humble man. He doesn't want the farewell tour. He doesn't want the riding off to the sunset like John Elway and Peyton Manning. But you know what? You're the greatest football player of all time. You're gonna get it. I just can't see him leaving on this note. And Brady Quinn, if you guys listen or pay attention to Brady Quinn of Fox Sports, brilliant mind. He knows his football. Obviously, he played quarterback in the National Football League. Brady Quinn on one of his radio shows talked about how a source had informed him that before the LA Rams and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers game, Tom Brady supposedly reportedly had a whole bunch of guests and family that don't usually attend his games attend that game. There was also a report before the Buccaneers and the Rams game, according to Ian Rappaport, that talks of retirement could be a very real thing. And look, I'm not trying to disregard, I'm not trying to ignore any of that. Obviously, the thought of retiring is a very real possibility when it comes to Tom Brady, just because his family has so much influence when it comes to that decision. But let's just say Tom Brady does retire, right? I have no doubt in my mind, come training camp or come preseason time, that itch, that hunger to come back and play football for one more year, it's gonna come. It's just, that comes with being the competitor that he is. That comes with being as phenomenal of an athlete, as a football player as he is. One more year at age 45 to do something that no one else has done, and the oldest starting quarterback in NFL history. I understand the allure behind retiring on top is very appealing to Tom Brady. I mean, he literally just led the league in passing with 5,316 yards. He had the highest amount of completions, so many different records. He could very well win MVP. He's obviously either going to be a first team or a second team All-Pro. But again, you're telling me the comeback king is gonna go out like that on a failed comeback attempt? Hell nah. Look, this is only the second time in the last decade. The second time in the last decade in which Tom Brady didn't advance past the divisional round, in which he wasn't in the conference championship. The last time that happened in 2019, his last year with the Patriots, when he lost in the wild card round to the Tennessee Titans. What happened the year after? Won a Super Bowl. So what do you think is gonna happen next year? Now, I understand if Tampa Bay isn't willing to go all out. I understand. And so if Tom Brady, if the biggest reason aside from his family and not coming back is because the Tampa Bay Buccaneers roster isn't Super Bowl ready, then I can completely understand that. But I still envision a scenario in which Tom Brady maybe stays retired for a year and pulls a Michael Jordan, pulls an MJ. The love of the game is just gonna come back, and it just feels like there's still unfinished business. And I know that's weird to say, seeing as how it sounds like I'm contradicting myself, because I did just say that this man has nothing left to prove. But again, I keep saying this ad nauseum, and I can't stop driving it home. The comeback king is supposed to end his career on a failed comeback attempt? That's not Tom Brady. It's not in his blood. And credit to Brandon Marshall. I know he talked about this on ESPN, the TB12 brand. That brand revolves around longevity, being able to prolong your career, being able to, focus on recovery and the physical wellness of your body. Well, the longer Tom Brady is in the NFL, the better that brand is going to be off the field, the better that it's going to prepare for that brand to take off, in the aftermath of his football career. And so there are plenty of different other factors to consider as far as Tom Brady may be coming back, maybe not coming back. But I truly just feel from the bottom of my heart, this isn't it. It's honestly not it. And seeing as how he is the MJ of football, I wouldn't be surprised to see him be away from the game for a little bit, take a break. He certainly deserves it. And so this isn't the last of Tom Brady. I promise you. Unlike Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady's going to show us what a real last dance is supposed to look like. So this isn't the last we've seen of Tom Brady. He will be back. That's it for today's episode, y'all. If you guys have any questions, comments, be sure to leave them down below. What do you guys think? Will Tom Brady pull a Michael Jordan and eventually come back? Is he actually going to retire and never play football again? What do you think about the retirement rumors that came out this morning, and then the eventual dispute afterward where his agent and his dad disputed those claims of him retiring? What do you guys make of all this stuff? Let me know what you guys think. I'm very, very curious to hear you guys' thoughts on the whole situation. Am I crazy for thinking what I'm thinking? Let me know what you guys think. And again, if you guys have any sort of personal questions or anything that you would like to ask us, be sure to follow us on Instagram or Twitter at Steezy Smith. Send us a DM. Let us know your thoughts. If you have any sort of video ideas, suggestions, anything that you would like for us to cover, let your voice be heard down below. As always, nothing but love. I hope you guys enjoy. There will be plenty of other content for you guys to stay tuned into. And so, as always, all glory to God. Amen. And Steezy out. Again, this video is going to be dedicated to Mr. Todd Nas. While that concludes this video, we have loads of other content. You don't have to stop watching there. Other content on our channel homepage, as well as our social media platforms. And again, don't forget to hit that subscribe button for us. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Nothing but love, and Steezy out.